Hey, fantasy owners, welcome to Lift the Cup Fantasy, or LTC Fantasy as some call it. Today's our Week 15 strategy episode where we're going to look at the schedule and see how we can find some advantages to get you that win. Light nights this week are Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Sunday's heavier. It has 8 games, and we'll focus on 6 teams early on that play Monday and Wednesday, them being Anaheim, Boston, Calgary, Chicago, and Washington. The Friday teams, will cover them later on in our weekend ads episode to focus on them to get you an advantage there. And we're also going to focus on Vegas tonight just because they start the week playing 3 games in 4 nights, that being Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Should also mention it's only 2-game weeks for Nashville, Tampa Bay, and Toronto, so adjust your lineups accordingly. Definitely not saying drop Matthews, but if you have somebody borderline like a Muzzin or a Brody, that might be something to think about, or a Kerfoot, something of that nature. Also, 15 teams have 4 games this week, so there's a lot of games going on as the schedule's starting to get more condensed. So we'll jump right into it with Anaheim. They also play 3 games in 4 nights to start the week, so a little bit of a bonus. They play Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. On the back end, I'd look at Kevin Shattenkirk. He's owned in 64% of Yahoo leagues, and in 42 games played, he has 6 goals, 15 assists for 21 points. So he's half point per game, which is pretty nice. He's -4, which you don't want to see, but he does make up for it with 10 power play points. He does have 24 hits, 51 blocks, and 80 shots on goal. So he gets quite a few shots on net if that's considered in your league. Next one is Cam Fowler. He's owned in 48% of Yahoo leagues. He's played in 39 games. He has 5 goals, 15 assists for 20 points. So basically half point per game like Shattenkirk. -5. He has 11 power play points. So he gets you some power play production. He has 22 hits. He has 57 blocks, so he's a little bit higher on the blocks than Shattenkirk. And he has 66 shots on goal, so he's a little bit lower on the shots on goal. So depending how your league scores, that might be something to look at for you. Last defenseman is Hampus Lindholm. He's owned in 12% of Yahoo leagues. He has 40 games played. He has 5 goals, 10 assists for 15 points. So he is under that half point per game, but not too far off. He is a +4 though, so that helps you out in the plus-minus department. 2 power play points. He has 34 hits, so he throws the body a little bit more than the other 2. 60 blocks, so he has the most blocks out of the 3, if that's something in your league consider. And he also has the most shots, sitting at 83 shots on goal. Moving on to forwards for Anaheim, I look at Trevor Zegras. He's owned in 60% of Yahoo leagues, and he's listed as a center and left wing, so you could slot him in a couple different spots in your forward lineup. 36 games played, he has 10 goals, 19 assists for 29 points. He is a -12, which really hurts, so look more on the offensive side of plus-minus. Might be somebody you pass on. 7 power play points. He has 15 hits, 11 blocks, and 84 shots on goal. So a decent number of shots if that's considered. Next one is Sonny Milano. He's listed as left wing, right wing. So you can slot him in a couple different spots. And only owned in 14% of Yahoo leagues, He is currently listed day-to-day with an injury. So keep track on that to see if he is available before you do pick him up. 35 games played. He has 9 goals, 16 assists for 25 points. He is a -4, so he's still in the minus, but he's not quite as bad as Zegras there. 8 power play points, 14 hits, 9 blocks, and 58 shots on goal. Last forward to look at for Anaheim is the old vet, Ryan Getzlaf. He's listed just as a center. He's owned in 37% of Yahoo leagues, but he's in 34 games played. He has 2 goals, 22 assists for 24 points. He is a -7, but he still gets you decent power play production with 7 power play points. He has 62 hits, so he does throw his body around. If you watched any of their games, he's a nasty son of a gun. 32 blocks, and he does get a nice amount of shots on goal for only having 2 goals. He has 74 shots on net. Next team, we're going to move on to Boston. I did list Tuukka Rask. He's owned in 72, seen it as low as 70. It kind of jumps after his last start. He looked good his first start. He only let in 2 goals. His last start, he got absolutely peppered, gave up a bunch. So it's more of a watch list than pickup. I'd kind of watch to see how his usage is, because they are still using Allmark, and they did hand Allmark a 4-year contract, so not quite sure. I think it's kind of leaning the way of a tandem situation. Next one is Matt Grzelcyk, I think is how you pronounce it. D-man, owned in 29% of Yahoo leagues, but in 34 games played, he has 2 goals, 13 assists for 15 points. He's +5, has 4 power play points, 16 hits, 42 blocks, so he gets you a decent amount of blocks, and 70 shots on goal. And he has had, I think, 7 points in his last 6 games, but he did have that 5-point night, so keep your eye on him, because he is useful. I picked him up in one of my leagues, and he did very well for me the 1 week there. Next one is Mike Riley, defenseman. He's owned in 7% of Yahoo leagues. Was on the COVID list as of last Thursday, so he should be ready to go for Monday, but monitor that. In his last 8 games, he has 1 goal, 3 assists for 4 points, so he's averaging that half point per game. He's a +2, 1 power play point. He has 10 hits in those 8 games, so he's getting you over a hit a game, 5 blocks, and 17 shots on goal, so he's getting you quite a few shots. Moving up to forwards, I look at Craig Smith. He's listed as a right wing. Only owned in 9% of Yahoo leagues, but he is playing on that top line with, well, not Marchand right now. He's out with an injury, but Marchand and Bergeron. 29 games played. He has 5 goals, 8 assists for 13 points, and he gets a fair amount of shots and hits, so if those are factored in your leagues, it might be somebody that you want to pick up. Next one is Eric Holla. He's listed as center left wing, only owned in 12% of Yahoo leagues. I do like that he's listed in a couple of spots. In his last 10 games, he has 2 goals, 7 assists for 9 points. He has a +2, 2 power play points, 15 hits, 3 blocks, and 17 shots on goal. So he gets you a decent amount of hits and shots besides a little bit of production in that last 10. Moving right along into Calgary. On the back end, I look at Rasmus Andersson. He's owned in 29% of Yahoo leagues. He plays on the first pairing and first power play unit. 35 games played. He has 1 goal, 16 assists for 17 points, so basically half point per game. He's a +10, which is really nice. He has 7 power play points, 19 hits, gets you quite a few blocks, 59 blocks and 59 shots on goal. If Anderson isn't available in your league, and other options, Shillington, he has 20 points, I think, on the year, so he's a little bit more offensively productive than Anderson, so that may be somebody to look at. Another one's Noah Hannafin. He's had a pretty good year. Forwards, look at Blake Coleman. He's listed as left wing, right wing, only owned in 27% of Yahoo leagues. He's playing on the second line now and second power play unit. He's 34 games played. It's not the greatest. 7 goals, 5 assists for 12 points. I know they'd like to see more out of him after he signed that contract. He's even on the year. He has 77 hits, so he definitely throws the body around. 28 blocks, and he has 107 shots on goal. So he definitely gets a lot of shots. And also he has 5 points in the last 6 games, so maybe he's trending in the right direction for you if you do pick him up. Next one's Andrew Mangiapane. He has listed as left wing, right wing, so you can slot him in a couple of spots. He is owned in 59% of Yahoo leagues, so it might be hard to find him because his ownership's higher. He started out the season really, really hot. 35 games played. He has 18 goals, 4 assists for 22 points, +3, 7 power play points, 35 hits, 14 blocks, and 86 shots on goal. So the last couple weeks he's been down on the production, but it's definitely somebody that can put the puck in the net and score in bunches. Other options for Calgary on forward, I'd possibly look at Sean Monahan. He had 2 goals the other night, one of them being on the power play, and he does play on that first power play unit. moving right along, Chicago's up next. They play Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, so it's really nice. They play on 4 of the slower nights. That might help you out there. You aren't getting Seth Jones, so next best one's maybe Eric Gustafsson. He's only owned in 1% of Yahoo leagues, but he does get some power play time. That's why I listed him here. Might be a decent streamer for a night. But in 33 games played, he has 1 goal, 10 assists for 11 points. He is a +3, and considering Gustafsson's defensive liabilities, being a plus is a bonus. 3 power play points. He has 25 hits, 35 blocks, and 42 shots on goal. Forward, I look at Brandon Hagel. He's listed as left wing, right wing, and only owned in 1% of Yahoo leagues, so he's available everywhere. But he plays a lot of the time in the top 6, and he does get some power play time, so give it some consideration. 33 games played. He has 10 goals, 9 assists for 19 points. He is a -9, but Chicago started out really, really rough, so might be something to look at there. 3 power play points. He has 24 hits, 14 blocks, and 55 shots on goal. Last one I look at is Jonathan Toews. He's listed just as a center, owned in 33% of Yahoo leagues. But you can't go wrong with Captain Sirius as a streamer. 39 games played. He has 4 goals, 14 assists for 18 points. He has a -7 this year, but he has 4 power play points, 15 hits, 12 blocks, and 65 shots on goal. And if your league considers face-off wins, he's just a hair under 60%. So he wins a ton of draws, so that's some added value for you. Next team up is Colorado. They also play on all the off nights, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. On the back end, I look at Samuel Girard. He's owned in 62% of Yahoo leagues. He does play on the second pairing and the second power play unit. And it's kind of overshadowed by Makar, obviously, but in 36 games played, he has 4 goals, 17 assists for 21 points. So he's well over that half point per game, and they still got Toews and Makar. It's amazing, their back end. He's even on the year, has 3 power play points, 29 hits, 50 blocks, so he gets you quite a few blocks, and 51 shots on goal. Next one on the back end is Eric Johnson. He's owned in 54% of Yahoo leagues, and in 38 games played, he's not as offensively. He has 5 goals, 10 assists for 15 points, but he's +19, which is a huge bonus if that's considered. 1 power play point. Definitely throws the body. He has 88 hits on the year, 66 blocks, so he blocks a lot of shots, and he has 71 shots on goal. So those secondary metrics, if they're valuable in your league, definitely take a look at them. On the back end is Valery Nikushkin. He's listed as left wing, right wing. He's only owned in 21% of Yahoo leagues. He is currently on the COVID list, so take a look to see if he is back in time for Monday or even a little later in the week, depending when you're looking to pick him up. But 22 games played. He has 10 goals, 7 assists for 17 points, so almost a half goal per game, decent production. He's +12. He has 1 power play point, 33 hits, 8 blocks, and 55 shots on goal. If Nikushkin isn't ready, I'd look at Logan O'Connor, because he is playing in Nikushkin's spot on that second line, and he has been getting a couple of points the last couple of games. And JT Comfort took Nikushkin's spot on the second power play unit, so that's definitely something to look at depending how your league formats. Next up is Washington. They play Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so on 3 of those off nights. On the back end, I look at Dmitry Orlov. He's serving a 2-game suspension, but he'll be back on Monday. 38 games played. He has 5 goals, 14 assists for 19 points, so he's over that half point per game. +17, which is really nice. 1 power play point, 66 hits, so he definitely throws the body around a bit. 42 blocks and 59 shots on goal. Justin Schultz is an option if you're really desperate, but I think there's more than likely better options for you out there, but just throwing a name out there, don't blame me if he sucks, but it's somebody to consider. Forward is Alexei Protas. He's listed as center right wing. He's owned in 0% of leagues. He's just under 1% owned. is a really dark horse move. It might be more of a watch list candidate, but with Oshie out, he has been playing in the top 6. Sometimes he's even been playing on the top line. So I would take a look at him, but I'd monitor his production over the next few games to see how he does. Next one is Garnet Hathaway. He's listed just as a right winger, owned in 20% of Yahoo leagues, and he has been playing on the top line the last few games. So in 35 games played, he has 7 goals, 7 assists for 14 points. So not the greatest offensive production, but I'd look at the secondary stats. He's plus 10. He throws a ton of hits. He has 126 hits, 21 blocks, and 68 shots on goal. And considering just recently his ice times have been bumped up, he does get you a decent amount of shots. Next team, Vegas. They play 3 and 4 nights, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. On the back end, I would consider Zach Whitecloud. He's only owned in 12% of Yahoo leagues. He is currently listed as day-to-day with a back injury, so I'd wait to see if he does play before Monday before I would look at him, but definitely keep his name in mind throughout the week. But in 28 games played, he has 5 goals, 6 assists for 11 points. He is plus 13, so definitely good plus-minus there. 44 hits in those 28 games, so not afraid to throw a hit. He's not going to kill you if that stats in your Roto League. 67 blocks, so he blocks a lot of shots, and 51 shots on goal. For forwards, I look at Riley Smith. He's listed just as a right winger. He's owned in 57% of Yahoo leagues, and in 41 games played, he has 11 goals, 18 assists for 29 points. So that's down by his standards, but still pretty good production. He is a plus 4, has 7 power play points, 38 hits, so almost a hit per game, 14 blocks, so don't really count on him to step in front of a puck for you. But he does have 110 shots on goal, so he definitely gets you a lot of shots. Depending on your needs, might be somebody to consider. Next one's Evgeny Dadonov. He's listed as left wing, right wing, and he's owned in 13% of Yahoo leagues. But with the injuries to Stone and Pacioretty, he's been bumped up to the top 6 and been starting to produce a little bit. Now, Pacioretty is traveling with the team, so he might be ready later on in the week, but earlier in the week, it's somebody to consider, and Stone's considered not quite sure how long he's going to be out. But in his last 7 games, he has 2 goals, 5 assists for 7 points. He's even over those 7 games. He has 1 power play point, 4 hits, 3 blocks, and 15 shots on goal. So he definitely averaging over that 2 shots per game, which you'd like to see for your leagues. And that wraps it up. We'll be later in the week. We'll have our waiver wire episode, and then we'll also be coming out with our weekend ads episode to look at some weekend ads that might get you over the hump. Hope you enjoyed the episode today. If you did, please remember to hit like, hit subscribe, remember that bell, and good luck to you fellas in week 15.